and Tell is a segment that we do here to give notoriety to indie games that maybe need it, maybe have fallen under the radar, by the wayside, stuff that needs, you know, maybe a little highlighting, if you will. We want to support it, want to help it out. This week we're talking about Super Perils of Baking. Now, Super Perils of Baking is a remake of Perils of Baking, which is the developer's first game. This is made by Lillymo Games. So I'm going to read you something from the developer's blog here, which was written by Colin Moriarty, who is now a writer for the game, but what's going on here? Is now a writer for the studio, but I don't think was involved with the original release of this game, if I'm not mistaken, which I don't think I am. But yeah, let me read you something from the developer's blog here. Let's pause this. Let's just pull up a little screenshot, if you will. Quote, Super Perils of Baking is a 16-bit inspired side-scroller that we write at home on the likes of Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. It's a ready ode to Super Mario World and that early to mid-90s era of 2D platformer goodness. It's all about two brothers who are raised within a great culinary tradition, bestowed from one generation to the next. Excuse me. But when they go off to baking school, one succumbs to the power of a mystical hat that brings his baked creations to life, leaving the other to battle his brother in a desperate struggle across the land. End quote. As I mentioned, Super Perils of Baking is a ground-up remake of Lillymo Games' first title, which is 2018's 2D platformer Perils of Baking. In Super Perils of Baking, players take control, like I said, a talented student baker who has but one goal in mind, stopping his brother. Enchanted by a cursed baking hat garnered from their school's basement from wreaking havoc throughout the land. So, I've played a little bit of this, and while I will tell you right now that it is not my cup of tea, first of all, I'm garbage at platformers. It's just not my style of game. I'm just really bad at platformers. I have really bad like spatial issues with 2D platformers specifically. But I've played it on my Steam Deck, which runs great on the Steam Deck, by the way. The game is not for me, but I think it is for a lot of people, and I think it's really special, and I think the soundtrack is great. I think the writing is great. So it's written entirely, it's like a storybook, kind of. So actually, let me see. It's written entirely in verse with a storybook-like presentation. Super Perils of Baking spans 50 core levels and has plenty of secrets. With concise 2D platforming, that's true that the controls are really tight from what I played. Balanced difficulty, it is difficult, but not insurmountable. Beautiful pixel art, which is accurate. Not only beautiful pixel art, but beautifully animated pixel art. Has a great soundtrack. Has lots of playable characters. And, you know, like they say in the write-up here, it's for audiences young and old. And it's really good, I think, for adults to play with children, which they also note in here. Especially if maybe you're trying to, you know, I don't know, expose your kids to different types of games. This is maybe a good kind of foot in the door for a 2D platformer that is modern, but accessible, yet very much an ode to some of the earliest video games that we had. There's also a meta game with trophies and achievements in this too, which I think they have a right. They do. So whether on foot, hurling in a minecart, swimming underwater, holding onto a balloon, or altering gravity, and quite literally turning things upside down, Super Perils of Baking is a food fight for everyone. And true bakers will find New Game Plus, trophies, and achievements, and tons of collectibles to keep them busy. Post-adventure too. And there's a meta game. Like the trophies and the achievements are part of the storytelling, which is really unique. And I actually don't want to spoil that. So just be mindful of that if you play it. Okay. So this is available for $10 on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, which is where I have it. And again, it is on Steam Deck, runs great on Steam Deck, and is officially Steam Deck verified. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Again, it's from Lillymo Games, which Colin Moriarty of Last Stand Media is part of. I think this is a really, really wonderful little game. Again, even though it's not for me, I think a lot of people will like it. And the enemies, and how you collect stuff associated with the enemies is really interesting and really cool and exceedingly creative. So I'll leave it at that. It's $10. Check it out. Support the game. Link will be in the description. Super Perils of Baking. Check it out.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to Haptic Intel. Did you do it? Subscribe right now.